everyone, it's Jake from A2K, and thanks for joining us for today's webinar using Civil 3D AS NZS pressure pipes. Technical consultant Dean Peterson will be presenting for us today. So before we start, we'll just go through about A2K, all about fostering innovation through consulting and training. A2K Technologies plays a vital role in helping infrastructure, building, mining, construction, architecture, and manufacturing industries reach their full potential by delivering complete technology solutions and support services such as education and consulting. Working with visionaries to shape the future of design and in turn enable them through innovation to minimize risks, improve productivities, and achieve excellence. A2K Technologies is considered the business partner of choice and trusted advisor by vendors and clients. We partner with major software and hardware vendors to meet clients' technology needs. We strive to exceed client expectations by pinpointing their challenges and delivering solutions through experience and innovation. We work with clients and companies of business arts nationally and abroad. Over to you, Dean.
Thanks, Dexter. Cool. Welcome along, everybody. I see some in the list of attendees there. I see at least some, actually quite a few people I know. So hello to all of you. This webinar is being recorded, so it will be available on YouTube later on for you to refer to, or you, for anybody else that is interested, will be able to see it up on YouTube as well. A little bit about me, for those who don't know me. I started off as a structural engineer, then became a roading engineer, and now work for A2K on the technical consulting side of things. Okay, so pressure pipes. In the last year or so, Autodesk have done a lot of work in the way that pressure pipes are used in Civil 3D. They have been around for quite a long time, and they've been worked on incrementally over that time. And the way that you actually use them in 3D space has changed in the last year. Now, I'll be using Civil 3D 2022 version, and if you're going to use the pressure pipes, I recommend that you do use 2022. It is possible to use them in the 2021 with the new features that they've built in, or that is 2021.2 version. However, I did find it a little bit hit and miss sometimes. Sometimes they had little bits of or elements that wouldn't be consistent, so that when you saved the drawing and reopened it, sometimes these pipe paths were lost or didn't work anymore. From what I've been doing in 2022, that's not the case now, so they fixed that. There's still a couple of things, I think, that I've spotted that are still not completely perfect yet. However, 2022 is looking pretty good from what I've tested. Now, I have gone through and created this new catalogue of parts. It was always a problem that to make the pipes, the fittings, all that data, all that library, was very, very difficult to do it manually. What was always supposed to be possible was to convert the Plant 3D catalogue, and so that's what I've gone through and done. It took me about 2 days to do it. It wasn't easy. There was some plant parts that got or had errors in them and stopped the transfer from occurring, so I had to go and take those out. Now, so there are a few being taken out of the catalogue, but almost all of them are still there. There's not many actually had to come out. So we now have that converted catalogue of all the Australian standard and New Zealand standard pressure pipes from the Autodesk Plant 3D catalogue, and is where it came from. 7,000 parts there are, so yeah, you don't want to build those yourself. So there's a lot of information and data there for us to use now, and that was always the stumbling block. This catalogue we will make available to anybody that wants it. You don't have to be a customer of A2K, so if you're watching this on YouTube and you want them, just drop us a line. We'll send you, or I'll show you the email address at the end of this webcast of where you can email to, and we'll send you out the AS NZS pressure pipe catalogue. Now, in terms of how you use that catalogue, It will be simply, if I can draw on here, 2 files, or a file and a folder. So you'll get this file, AS pipes and fittings. Sorry, that's a folder. And you'll also get the SQLite of the same name, AS parts and fittings SQLite. You need both of those. You put them in the same folder, ideally as where all your other pressure pipe, the default pressure pipe catalogs are. And so there's the Autodesk ones you can see here, which means you can swap between them very easily if they're all in the same location. So it could be on your machine. By default, if it's on your machine, it'll be in this folder, your username on the beginning, and then program data. It could be, if you wanted to, you could store all of these on your network so everybody can access them from the network as well. Once you get that placed in Windows, you can then, and I'll show you this, set your pressure network catalog like you would do with the standard pipes, and you choose the Australian Standard Pipes and Fittings SQLite. That's AS and NZS all in one. All right, so let's continue on, clear on my drawings and close that. I will also give you, when you ask for the catalog, this drawing. So I have some table styles set up, some label styles, most importantly, the long section band styles. I've got a whole bunch of those for you to use, similar to what you get in the ANZ country kit. These are just starter styles that you can then modify for your own template as to how your particular company standard wants to see those produced, but they're all there for you. You don't have to start from scratch. All right, so all of that being said, let's go, before we go too far, if you've got any questions along the way, I'll try and answer them if we get time. Hopefully we will at the end of the session. Up in the webinar toolbar that you'll have on your screen, there's a Q&A session, it's a Q&A button and a chat button. You can put questions in there if you like, type them in during the broadcast, and if we get time at the end, we will have a look at those. All right, so next is, let's do a little demo then. So, Civil 3D. The first thing we need to do is make sure we've got that catalog set. So, we navigate to, start from the Home tab of the ribbon. Under the Create Design drop-down on the left here is Set Pressure Network Catalog. That will be looking at that folder that I showed you. If not, you can navigate to it, and then you choose the SQLite file that you want to use. And in this case, we're going to use the AS Pipes and Fittings SQLite, and go OK. Then you're ready to go. Now, in the old way that these used to work, you would have to lay out all these pipes and fittings in 3D space using 3D Orbit and model them together like in 3D AutoCAD blocks. They changed that. They have changed that. So now they're laid out in plan view and long section view, which is how we're used to using Civil 3D and working in civil space. Now, I'm not going to concentrate too much during this webcast on the actual way you use these pipes and fittings, the way you lay them out, because in YouTube, up on YouTube, Autodesk has done some pretty good, just little short videos that show you how to use it. So if you type in up on YouTube, the search field of Autodesk pressure pipes at the top here, you will get these ones up. The ones done by Autodesk Infrastructure, they're pretty short, a couple, 2 or 3 minutes each. You want the ones done less than a year ago, or a year or so ago. So 1 year ago, 11 months ago, different, shows you how to use these pipes, lay them out in long section and plan view. I'm going to do some of that, but I'm not going to go into much detail because it's all up in here anyway. Don't use these ones 5 years ago. That's the old ways of 8 years ago of using them. You want the ones from 1 year ago or sooner. All right. So we want to just do a bit of a layout, and I'll show you how to use the ANZ ones. Now, the first thing we need to do is set up a parts list. So the same way as a parts list works with the standard pipes in Civil 3D, we have it in the settings tab in the tool space, and under pressure network, there are parts lists. I've got a couple made up in here. I think I've got, well, we'll see anyway when we do it. Let's make a new one. Let's make a new parts list. So we'll call this the webcast parts list. And as you can see, it's looking at the AS pipes and fittings catalog to get all these parts. Under pressure pipes here, we can add a material. Now, most of the actual pipes, in fact, are under the unknown group. So I'll bring all of these in and you can have a look. We'll just use PVC for our example, I think, but let's bring those in. So when you do that, you can go to unknowns here, add a size. They just don't have a name for the material type, basically, is what it means. I'll add all the sizes, go OK. It'll generate all of those. And you'll see that we've got some ABS pipe coming on down, rural Vindex. We've got, what else we got? Some, must have steel pipes in here somewhere. Got PEs, SDR, gas pipes, all sorts. And you can see there's a massive list. They are, I think you'll find, yes, in numeric order. So they start from smaller going up to bigger diameters, but the types are intermixed. So what I would recommend is you don't want 7,000 parts to choose from every time you're trying to put a part in your drawing. So make several cut down, or in your template, make several cut down parts lists. So in this case, I'm actually going to cut down, I'll get rid of the unknown. I'll just make a PVC parts list. So I'm going to delete that one out. And I won't worry about the ductile iron either, but you can do this with it the same way. In the PVCs, I'll go add size, add all sizes, and go OK. You can put in an individual pipe, but we really want to be able to grab a group. So like the parts lists for the standard pipes, the gravity pipes in Civil 3D, this parts list has these names. These are the names that came from Plant 3D, but if you don't like them, you can overwrite them with whatever text you want to name them something else, and they'll be called out as that in your drawing. However, what I'm going to do for this particular demonstration is I'm going to just have my 150 diameter pipes in here. So there's 200s, 175, 155, 150s, those 150s as well. So I'm going to hold down the shift key, pick all the ones I don't want, right click on there and go and delete. So it's got rid of everything smaller than 150 size. And then I'm going to go find everything bigger than 150. Here's my 155. And you might have the 100s, the 150s, whatever you're going to use in your particular project. Those are the ones you want to keep in your parts list. And scroll down to here, shift, pick it, and delete the large ones that I don't want. And so you can cut down your particular parts list that you want. I might run with all of those, I think, perhaps. If there's, if you don't want the Vindex ones, for instance, you can just chop those out and you just choose from the other ones, or perhaps even you don't want any of these, except for one group, say the white rhinos, for instance, and in which case you chop out the ones you don't want. Under fittings, this we can do slightly differently. We've got, for the PVCs, got elbows, elbow bends, you got end caps, you got T's, and you got couplings straight through connectors. I'm going to bring all of those types in and go OK. And for each one of those, I'm going to go add size and add all sizes. And the caps as well, add size, add all sizes. Now, you don't need to delete these ones out, because if you're using 150 pipes, it will automatically grab only the 150 elbows to try and connect these together with. However, if we go and have a look at the 150 elbows, which we're going to be using, oops, 150s in here, there are these different category numbers. So 150s here, we've got some cat 10s, we've got some cat 12s, cat 13s. If there's a category number or a cat number that you're specifically wanting, get rid of the other ones that you don't want in the size pipe you're using. It doesn't match these category numbers with the pipe. It just looks for the first one in the list that matches your pipe size, and that's what it's going to use. Now you can swap parts later on, it's not a problem, but it's often it will use by default what is in this list. So if you reduce the number of 150s it can choose from, it's always going to grab, say, the cat 12s. Those are the only ones you leave in here. The other ones you don't need to change, so it will select the sizes that you want. Now, one thing that we don't have is the appurtenances from Plant 3D. These did not convert from Plant 3D, so these are things like your valves, etc. You can, however, mix and match this catalogue and the default catalogues that come with Civil 3D, which means that you can grab an appurtenance from another catalogue and put it into the same network as what you're laying out. I have talked to Autodesk about this. I haven't heard back yet. There is a, they've recognised there is a problem that won't convert, and so that they're aware of that, and we'll see if that gets fixed in the future. Okay, so having made that, I'm going to go OK, and now I've got the webcast parts list there, so we can start laying out some pipes. All right, so just checking my notes here, make sure I'm covering off everything I need to tell you. Now there's one thing I haven't done here, and I should have done that. All right, I'm not going to worry too much about it, but if we go back into that parts list, when you're putting in your fittings here for your elbows, caps, T's, etc. No, I can't go size. I'll do it with the T's. If I delete that one, shall we say, I'll delete a couple. Okay, if I go add size, there's this allowable deflection. What I'd recommend is put in, well, this is the time that you put it in when you're creating these lists. So put in your value of, it's a degree deflection, so maybe 1.5 degrees, that the fitting and the pipe is allowed to be out of alignment. Instead of being exactly dead in line, there's a little bit of play that I've just built into those two by putting in that allowable deflection. Yep. Oops, that was the wrong one. That one there. On the end of the list, probably went on the end of the list, didn't it? Yeah. Okay, so that's where you put in the allowable deflection, and do that when you're building up these parts lists. You put them on the pipes as well as the fittings. So the pressure pipes, you put them in there when you load those up as well. All right, for the moment, I'm not going to redo that. It'll work okay like that. It'll just, it does check later on. All right, so we can create a new network. So if we've got, back in the prospect here, we've got some pipe networks already started in here. We can, if we want, sorry, under the pressure networks, network 4 here, network 1, yes. They lay them out using these pipe runs, which are essentially an alignment that a pipe runs along. If there is a pipe run already existing, you can select them and things like that from here. But if you want to continue working with that network, you right click, go edit pressure network. The ribbon up the top changes to how you can modify your network. And with all those tools, and then you can continue, you can go add a new pipe run. You can have multiple pipe runs in one network, and then continue on. Now, I might, for this webcast though, not continue one of those. I'm going to instead close that. So this is a context sensor ribbon. You've got the close on the right-hand side. I'm going to instead go to create design. I'm going to go, pipe network drop down, I should say, from the home tab of the ribbon. I'm going to go pressure network creation tools to make a new network. We'll call this one webcast. And here's the pipe run. It does them automatically now. And this is the new stuff that they built. So you can name it whatever you want. And here's the parts list. So we're going to use the webcast parts list we just created. Now those, you may want to make a whole bunch of pre-made parts lists that you can just, for everybody that uses your template, so they can just choose the one they want if there's ones you use all the time, or you may want to do it, for each particular project like I've just done. Then you can choose your pipe size you want to use. So I'm going to use the PN15 white rhino, I suppose, or 12, doesn't, yeah, any one of those. I'll go to the 12. So these are 150 by 150 pipes, and 150 pipes they are. We need a reference surface to get its elevations and depths from. We can create a surface profile to follow, which means follow underneath the surface, and the cover, let's make it 0.7 meter. Don't make it minus 0.7, it won't like it. Give the cover 0.7 meter. We're not going to have a reference alignment. We're going to put some labels on there. So this is part of the styles I've given you in that drawing. We've got an A2K pipe description. Yeah, A2K pipe description is what we want. Fitting will be A2K fitting description, and if we're going to put in an appurtenance, the default will be A2K appurtenance description. We'll go OK. And it says specify the first point to lay out, and here is our context sensor ribbon up the top here. So there is the pipe type that we've chosen to use, and you can swap it to a different one anytime you want when you're laying it out. A different one from your catalogue. Now I'm going to turn off my snaps there at the moment. You can see in the contours here, there's a bit of a road here, so I'm going to start laying out the first pipe from here to there. And when you do that, it then looks at your catalogue and finds all the bends that could potentially fit onto that 150 pipe. And these are all the angles that are in the catalogue. So it's snapping to those and allowing me to draw for as long as I want it to draw out for. So I'm going to put a bend of that size in it, go across the road, and then come to the south. Now, if you don't want it to snap to that, you don't have to. You can try and use that 1.5 millimeters allowable deflection. And that's with these two buttons here. I can turn off my snapping, and it will just find the closest one that'll match, but it will have some sort of out of deflection between the fitting and the pipe. If you don't like to see that thing at all, you can turn it off. I tend to like the snapping, so I'm going to draw that over to here. Maybe go across to here. The other side of the road again, and we need to pull it to the south. Actually, we need to adjust that. So let's see if I can pull that to here, and then pull it. Not chosen there. Pull it to here somewhere. Now you could draft it in AutoCAD, get your angles exactly right first, and just snap to that. But I'm going to run with that for the moment and show you what it does. And then we could disappear off to the side and wherever we want it to go. Let's turn that snapping off so you'll see what will happen if I put it here. Okay, I'll go enter, and it lays out those with all the bends and things already put in. If you want a T, for instance, to go into here, we can go add a fitting. We choose the fitting we want. So again, we're going to be looking for the 150s. T. Oh, yeah, should be there, couplings, yep, the T's go. Again, you could cut down the size, as you can see, here we go. Here's our T's, 150 by 100, yeah, why not? Drop that into there, and go add fitting, add branch fitting, is that what we're looking for? No, it's not, so go add fitting, and place it in the middle of one of these. If we wanted to, same symbol as what you get for Civil 3D. Bit of statement is in there, and there's a branch with 100mm running off the side, and we can click that twice, and it will flip it. It gives you some arrows to flip it if you want, so you can flip that to the other side. Now, when you click on one of these once, it highlights what's called the pipe run, the actual run or the center line of all those pipes. What it allows you to do is say, this is a 60-degree bend at the moment. You can then move these and everything moves with it. That's what the pipe run does. So at the moment, because I've moved that, it's going to be out of alignment angle. If you look carefully, the actual pipe itself, here it is at the end, is not aligned with the fitting in there. And that's where you want to put those tolerances in, those 1.5 or whatever percent, whatever angle tolerance you want. But if I bend that down so it's approximately a 90-degree angle, we could draft it again if you wanted to, it's going to put the right bend in there, which is nice. In this case, it's got a Cat 12 bend. If I wanted to change that to something else, I would pick the pipe, pick it again, and it would pick that individual fitting or pipe. Then we can go swap part, and I'm on elbow Cat 12. If I wanted instead this to be Cat 15 Vindex instead, I can change that. We want to make sure the size, oops, no, I'm gonna need the size. There's an elbow. 150s, none of these 150. 90. That's what we want. And they're going to be sorry, it's not a coupling, isn't it? No, it's been okay. I'm expecting to see my 150s in here. So this is a DN 150. WCAT. P90. PSW cat 12. Must be one of these ones. Yeah, that's got the 150. So as you can see, it's giving me all of the bends, but not necessarily what's going to be there just for the 150. So you do have to be a little bit careful or cut down the size of your parts list a little bit more. So let's see, let's try the cat 13s. We've got size in there. Yeah, we've got a cat 13. Okay. So it just depends what's in the parts list, really. But if we choose to select, change that one, we'll tell it to align on the center line. Go OK. And then we've now changed that to cat 13. And as you can see, it's a completely different size shape. Now, what these are, if you hover over them, that's the deflection. So you can actually do a check for up in here, a depth check when you get your long section done, and also a design check from here to here. Enter. We'll find all the things you want to check for. And obviously, all of these have a little bit of out of tolerance. Now, some of them, even if you've done them properly or correctly, there's a current deflection point 0.0002. So leaving it as 0 means you're always going to see these, even if they are actually nearest damn it to straight or within the tolerant or within the accuracy of AutoCAD. So to get rid of those, you pick a pipe twice, you right click and go clear all pressure pipe warnings. They'll all go away until we run it again. So as you can see, we've replaced that with a completely different 90-degree bend now. Okay, we should find these T's. We'll also move with that. If we want an appurtenance, that's one thing we need to look at. So, oh, but by the way, in 2021, sometimes swapping that pipe, that bend, would break the functioning of the actual center line when you moved it. I don't think we should have broken it yet. No, it's still working. Cool. So that's one of the reasons, why I recommend using the 2022 version. Those sorts of things have been fixed. Okay, appurtenance. So if we want to, there are no appurtenances from the catalog we're currently using. What we can do is this. Go to the network properties. Here's our webcast network. In the layout here, we can say, you know what? I'd like to use the different parts list. And I'm going to go back to the ANZ sample catalog, which doesn't have a huge number of parts. And it's just the defaults that come with Civil 3D. However, if we go OK there, you can now see we can see the appurtenances are in that list, and there's a 150mm gate valve there. So I'm going to use that. So gate valve 150mm, go add appurtenance, and we can say we want a valve down here. Place it in there. And it's a nice 3D valve. Now all of the stuff is getting put in, they're all 3D objects, as you'd expect. Let's have a look at the object here. And it's put in a nice 3D valve there, as you can see. And all your bends and things are all going in 3D space. Bends horizontally and vertically. All right, so we want to get a long section out of this. Let me just check I've shown you everything. Yep, I think so. So long sections. Let's take advantage of these bands that I've created here. So with a one of these things selected, if I pick it again, the ribbon will come up. We go pipe run profile, and we'll do a profile along the whole pipe run. We'll start the pipe run, we'll select a pipe run, just want to pick it, and it's just going to do a long section, but a different sort of tool, I guess you'd say, for laying it out. It allows you to set a reference profile below the surface. You can get it to set along the cut length, a defined cut length for all of these pipes. Now, you can't change that cut length in Civil 3D as far as I can tell. You have to go into what's called the catalogue editor, which is a separate program that loads in your Windows Start menu. And you'd have to Google that if you want to use it. I haven't spent time doing that because most of the time I want to do my offsets from the surface, my depths measured at the fittings, and a straight line in between those. So we're going to have create the depth from a surface. The surface is going to be the EG. We're going to have an offset distance of 0.7 of a meter below the surface. That's always a positive number as well. It'll update dynamically when you move the profile it's about to choose. It'll change the pipes. We're about to create that profile. It'll change the pipes. We're going to make a new profile view, make a new long section. There are also overrides in this tab where you can say for this station to this station, I want 0.7 of a meter deep. For this station to this station, I want 0.9, then back to 0.7 or whatever I want. However, don't want it to spend too long on the way that these work. They are in those Autodesk videos. I will, however, go and create this long section. So we go, okay, we're going to use out of the country kit, the normal pipe, however much exaggeration you want. I'm going to do 5 times exaggeration here. That's fine, it's fine. It creates some extra profiles here. I'm never really sure which one I'm supposed to leave on, so I leave them all on. I can turn them off later on if they're in the way. Then there's the pressure pipes and fittings. It's going to show data bands. So we use the A2K pressure pipes data bands. These never had previous, as before a year ago, the pressure pipes never were able to put any data in the data bands. Now they can. Just one thing though, there's supposed to be an extra column on the end here that we can put the data, the reference data column in. It doesn't show up in here, so you've got to go back into it later on when you've created your long section. So we can do that. That's all we need there. Don't hatching, create the long section, put it off to the side here. And this is what we're seeing. So there's my little appurtenance, my valve underneath the ground. And it's underneath the, following the ground, the terrain, 0.7 meter below, as you can see. Data band's not currently working, so I need to select that, go back into the profile view properties on the bands tab. Now we'll see, I should see, the data sources column. So we need to tell that to use our webcast network. Now some of these don't need it, so they won't have a drop down. So I think that's all of them. Go okay. And down in here, we're getting our data bands working, which was great. Some of these, if you've got a very short pipe in here, you might want to pick a label and move one of them up a bit. Oops. Should work if I get the right one. There it goes. And stagger them, or you can, as per any other label, hold down the control key, pick it, and just hit the delete key. That'll get rid of it. So you don't have to have a label everywhere over the top of everything else. And as you can see, we've got some short pipes here. Depending on the scale you're plotting it at and the size of your pipes, you may want to weed out some of those. 2D and 3D length, we're getting the covers showing up in here. Minimum cover is in the middle, so that one there is actually 650, so you might want to go and check that one. So it's quite nice to have those minimum covers going in there. Not sure quite where that is, but you'd be able to measure it with a depth label. Now the thing about using these is that when you pick your pipes, you get the 0.7 meter depth below the EG shows up. Now, some of these look weird, the fittings, because they're actually going around a corner, and the plan view, if I pick that, the actual alignment is drawn through here. Sorry, the long section is drawn through here, so it does a slice through these bends. That's why they do look a little funny in the long section. That's just the way it works. However, what we should find is that when we pick these, I'll turn on the ortho for this. The pipe network adjusts to that. So if you want to change the depth, you just grab the grip there, pull that one down. Everything else, it'll work out all the pipes between those ends. It has a whole bunch of extra vertexes in the middle. You don't need to worry about those too much. But you can see my depth, minimum depth is now well over my 0.7 that I wanted. And underneath the road, looks like it's a road. I think that's a road going through there. You can lower it just easily like that, which makes it really, really useful. Much easier than laying it out in 3D space, which is how you used to do these things. I will just do a save in my drawing there. And continue on. So other things we can do if you want a drop down in your pipes. This one here, I've just drafted a polyline, which has some 45 bends in it. We can bring that down into here and put it into my pipe. So what I've done is actually stripped out a whole bunch of the vertexes in this area here, because they would actually get in the way a bit of what I'm about to do. So that is simply a profile. So you can go into the edit profile geometry. You can say you want to remove a vertex, and you can simply clip out these vertexes, any ones you don't want. Keep the ones on the fittings, but you can clean out any other ones you want. That being done though, I've cleaned out this one. I'm just going to take my polyline that I've worked out there, do an align, and take the end of that, and align it to the top of my profile. Something here, the other end, align it to there, and don't scale it. Yep. My dimensions. Okay, and so now that we've got that in there, if we wanted to drop down for another pipe, for instance, that's in here, I've changed the scale. Oh, I haven't done my bands in here. I've changed the scale to this to 1:1. So I could just put in those 45-degree angles, and I can simply go and pick a pipe, and up in the ribbon here, we go add bend PVI on the left. And so I'll put in one, yeah, one, yep. And it's finding the closest bend to make that angle. And hopefully, this should be my 45s. Yep. And now you might find, and I did find this, oh, that one's a bit off. Kind of drafted that properly. No, I can't. But because it's a profile, you should be able to do this sort of thing with it. Straighten her up. What you can see, this one's a little bit off. Sometimes it's even further off. So what I actually found you could do, probably because it's got this bending vertically and that one's bending horizontally, it's not able to, it hasn't adjusted that one. I suspect that's what's going on. If I go add bend PVI and put one in here, hopefully there's enough space. Yep. And then, well, hopefully that's enough space. Then I can go remove bend PVI, remove that one. And then drag that one onto here. It does a better job. So you can just nudge it like that. But now, if we're going to have a look at our pipes in 3D space, it's actually this one here. And there's our little labels going in there, which are nice. In the object viewer, we've done that with it. And it's just all controlled through the profile now, which makes it really, really nice and easy. So, and we should find, in fact, that it still all hangs together if we pick the pipe run, change that to somewhere else. It's going to knock out my tolerances, my angles, but as you can see, all that 45 drop down will move with it, and the appurtenance moved as well. Back. Okay. Now, what would be nice is to actually, when you pick one of these things, to have that compass come back up. That doesn't happen at the moment. Maybe we'll see that sometime in the future. All right. Cool. And also, we've got the tables here. Some little starting table styles for you, just to show you they do work. The tables for each network. This is just a little reminder of the name in here. These are all just coming off the description of each pipe and each fitting. And we should have that one doesn't have any impertinence in that particular network. You can go into the particular pipe, change its description, and it will change what it's called out in the drawing and the bands, and also in the tables. So you can, if there's any ones these you want to particularly label something special, just pick the pipe, go into its description. Where's this one? Yeah, in here. So if I grab that pipe, click it again to grab the pipe itself, and then up in the, I can just right click and go pipe properties, pressure pipe properties. That's the description, change that to whatever you want. And that's what gets called out down here. And that's what gets called out in the table. And so that's easy to change if you don't like the defaults or want to change a default. Okay, almost there. Yeah, looking good. Oh, what we should probably do is remember to, once you put those appurtenances in, go back into our network, webcast network here, properties, and put that back onto our webcast parts list. Okay, so real quick demo. As I say, not going fully into these. What you can do from alignments, you can do offsets left and right for to create pressure pipes that are offset from a common alignment, which is nice. You'll see that in the webcast done by Autodesk in the last year up on YouTube there. And other ways you can work with the creation of these things rather than just using the layout tool. Oh, these do have bends. Now, if you want to continue drawing, you can pick one of these. There's the little plus on the end to go continue layout. You can put a new pipe, turn the snapping back on, that angle. And if I wanted a bent pipe, so we can go curve, and you can give it an initial direction. I want the initial direction in that way, so it's going to put in a bend of that much. Sorry, an angle of that much, and then it'll make a curved pipe. And you can work out where you want your end point to be. Click again, enter, and that's just added that onto that. Although it's broken tangency at the alignment here, which is that's just the alignment label. Not to do with the pipes. So you can do curved pipes there. You can also, and some people will be very pleased to know about this, curve your pipes in the vertical sense as well. So if I pick a pipe here, you've got the option up in the ribbon to go curve. Specify a radius of curvature. I don't know, 20 meters. It's going to be a sag curve. And once it's in there, you can then adjust it. It'll be a circular curve, but it's 5 times vertical exaggeration. That's why it looks like that. And so it will have done that in 3D space. And as you can see, it's rotated these as well, which is nice. So you can find that 3D space, shall we? Where is it in relation to that? One of these, I think. Yep, there it is. Curved in 3D space. Nice. So much, much easier to use than what they used to be. Righto. So back to the little PowerPoint. What else do I need to tell you? That's our little demo done. Oh, yes. So if you want this catalogue, just send us an email. As I said, you don't need to be a customer of A2K. We're happy to give it to everybody in Australia and New Zealand. So the email you want to send it to, take a screenshot of this or write it down quickly. It's an easy one, solutions@a2ktechnologies.com.au. That's the email address. Mark it, attention Dean Peterson. And this is what you want to ask for. Ask for the free Civil 3D pressure pipes catalogue. This will be on the recorded webcast as well. And then we'll send it out to you. Send out the drawing plus those 2 files, and just do exactly what I've shown you here in the webcast. Refer to YouTube if you need a reminder. So hopefully I'll get lots of those coming through shortly for everybody who wants it. Now I'll just have a quick look at questions. We've got a couple of minutes left at the end here. If you've got any other questions, type them in now in either the chat or the Q&A on the webcast. Oh, what's the difference between the cat types in the parts list? I believe that's just the pressure rating. Let's have a look. Mixing the types. No, I just showed you that you can mix and match from different catalogues. Different parts lists, which are actually referencing different catalogues. So there was a question about, can you use ductile fittings with PVC pipe? I think you probably can. You'd want to have a look and make sure that they're exactly the same, external diameters and things that you want to match up, I guess. But as I say, they're coming from the Plant 3D catalogs. Everything that Plant 3D's got, you should have access to here now. Okay, yep, and that's another point here that is being pointed out, that when you create the pressure network parts, it looks like you can add multiple catalogs. I think you probably can. I haven't tried it, but that does seem to be the facility to do that. So therefore, you could potentially add pertinences from a different catalog into one parts list. So yeah, that's probably a good idea if it's going to work. I haven't tried it, but if that does work, that would be a good way to go. Another question here from somebody else I know. Does it know what the minimum curve radius is? Now, I haven't seen in Civil 3D anywhere where the curve radius is specified, so I suspect that is back, you need to go into the catalogue editor to do that. Let me just see if I've actually got it loaded here for my 2022. Civil 3D, the pressure network catalog editor. Oh, maybe it's under Autodesk. It's either in here or it's a separate download. It's just a separate little program that you use to go and edit the catalog. No, I'm not seeing it there. It might not have got loaded with my 2022. But it's called the Pressure Products Catalog Editor. That's where you adjust the cut length. I suspect that the curve radius is actually in there too. Just not seeing it here at the moment, but I have used it because I used it to create this in the first place. I think you could put in the defaults there. I haven't seen anywhere else in Civil 3D which actually does it. Okay, any other questions there? No, I think that's it. So, once again, just if anybody's wanting it, there is the email that you want to use if you want to have this catalog. It's available to everybody. solutions@educatortechnologies.com.au. If you're in New Zealand, just use the .com.au and it'll get through. And then we'll send it out to you in New Zealand here. Other than that, if you're wanting to see any of the future webcasts coming up, let's just go to the, well, this is the address if you like, but just go to the A2K website in the events drop down at the top and you'll see the other webcasts coming up in the next month or so. And I'd just like to say thank you for tuning in on this webcast. I hope this is something you can make use of. It's something we've been waiting, I personally have been waiting for years and years and years. And you can see one of those webcasts was done 8 years ago, is when they first started creating these things. Finally, we've got them usable. And I hope they're going to be useful to you in the future. Very good. Do have a good afternoon or morning, depending on where you happen to be, and we'll see you on the next one of these webcasts. We'll catch you then.